It's your boy SGT, and today we'll be watching a very, very interesting video. This video is about Sean Gathright, and for those of you who don't know, he was involved in the murder of Julio Foolio down in Tampa, Florida. Now, I'm not trying to get any clout off of this, but just know that I actually went to middle school with this dude, so I know him personally. Sean Gathright, not Julio. I never met him, but I used to go to school with him, and I didn't hang out with him like that all the time, but I did go overseas with him. We traveled together. As you can see in the video, I think that they'll mention him traveling overseas to like South Africa or something, but he did a lot of traveling. It's really sad because he really didn't do stuff like that. He wasn't gang related or whatever, but nonetheless, let's get to the video. Big shout out to BlackySpeakz. He's the one who dropped the original video that we are reacting to today, that we are watching. So I appreciate you, my boy. Y'all go check out the original, show him some love. But yeah, let's get it.
Now, the other day we spoke about Sean Gathright, a 20-year-old who many people described as a good kid before he became known as a convicted killer. Now, right after I dropped my video, Sean Gathright was officially sentenced to life in prison alongside the other people prosecutors say were involved in the targeted killing that left rapper Julio Foolio dead. Now, the sentencing aside, there's something else I want to talk about today that's been brought to my attention, because despite everything that's happened, despite the evidence, despite the life sentence, despite it now officially being decided that he's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars, Sean Gathright still seems to believe that there's some type of future waiting for him outside of prison one day. So this is what's going on. Sean Gathright's family actually created an Instagram page for him, and from what it looks like, they're basically using the page to keep people updated on Sean's situation, post messages connected to him, communicate with supporters, I didn't know he had fans, and continue building some type of support system around him.
I'm gonna tell y'all now, I'm not saying I'm a fan, but you know, things hit different when you know the person personally, especially when I haven't seen him since like 8th grade, so 2019. But it's just crazy to see people you know in other states being put in the news like this. Obviously this ain't for a good reason, but just oh, I know him
while he's behind bars. Now, members of his family uploaded this post to Instagram where they said the following: "Hello family, friends, and supporters. My name is Sean Gathright, and this is my new official Instagram account where I'll be updating and posting content regarding my journey. Nigga, you got life. Feel free to reach out. I'll be sharing a message very soon. Thank you to anyone who has reached out with supporting messages, prayers, and or donations. Who the fuck is doing that? This fight is not over. Hell yeah, it is. And I haven't given up on myself or my future. Neither has my family, my girlfriend, or my friends. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces patience. Let patience finish its work so that..."
Bro put a scripture. Obviously he didn't do this. I don't think he has a phone. He's in jail. But he put a scripture at the end of this. Honestly, this is the same people that be screaming free me. I ain't free Sean. Like I said, I know him, but this is a pretty serious crime. This is one of the heaviest crimes that you can commit in this country, in the world, honestly. Like murder. Come on, bro. You got murder, treason, and espionage, and this is the only like violent one that you can really get. Anyway, I'm yapping, but
you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And honestly, reading all this feels surreal once you remember that this is somebody who was just sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison. Like he's literally never going to see the light of day, because the tone of these messages almost feels hopeful. Like this is some obstacle he's eventually gonna overcome one day. And here's where things get even more interesting. There's now reportedly a GoFundMe page connected to Sean's family as well, and the fundraiser said the following: "Dear friends, family, and supporters, this is a fundraiser on behalf of Sean Gathright's family. Sean is only 20 years old and is currently facing the fight of his life after being convicted in a case that has completely changed the course of his future. Anyone who truly knows Sean knows he is not the person being portrayed by this case. Sean is deeply loved by his family, friends, and community, and during this difficult time, we are asking for support to help his loved ones navigate the emotional and financial burdens. Thank you for certain violent crimes related to legal situations. So seeing all this publicly circulating online right after somebody receives a life sentence for traveling to another city, tracking another person's movements, and then allegedly participating in an ambush where a vehicle was sprayed with bullets and somebody ended up dead is honestly wild to watch unfold in real time. Now before we continue, let's listen to what Sean himself had to say from behind bars. So one of his relatives uploaded a video of them speaking to him over the phone, and Sean had a message to the world, and this is what he said.
What's up, everybody? It's Sean.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear like that sigh, like, I know that boy's going through it, man.
What's up, everybody? It's Sean. I'm just reaching out to y'all, just to give y'all a quick update about my situation. Right now, they got me in confinement. It's just a protocol thing after Friday, but I should be out of here soon, and, reaching back out to everybody. I've seen, I've heard that, a lot of y'all have been reaching out to my Instagram page at the official Sean G. This is my real page. This is the page that I will be, communicating to the outside world from, through my management team and stuff like that.
Management team? What?
Management.
I think he means legal team, because ain't no way he gotta, he not. Hey, I guarantee you, if Sean get out, he start rapping, bro. He gonna start rapping, and then it's gonna be a Julio Foolio. It's gonna come full circle. Watch.
The team and stuff like that. I really appreciate all the messages and all the comments and the likes and the shares and the donations. It means more than y'all can understand. It truly means a lot in a difficult time like this. We all know that God has the last word, and I just really appreciate y'all for seeing me in a different light. Y'all will be hearing from me soon. Like I said, I just have to get out of confinement. Take a couple days, but I appreciate y'all. I love every single one of y'all, and yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Now, just to clarify something, when Sean said I'm gonna be out soon, he's not talking about getting out of prison. He's talking about getting out of confinement, not prison itself. So he was basically saying he expects to eventually be moved out of that isolated confinement setting, not that he believes he's literally about to walk free from prison tomorrow. At least that's what I gathered from what he said. But even with that clarification, listening to that young man's voice, it's not even that he sounds hopeful. It's that listening to him speak, it almost feels like he's disconnected from the severity of the reality he's actually facing, especially when you factor in the GoFundMe page, the new Instagram page, and then now he's talking about management and future plans. Like, what? Wow, this young man was just sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison. That is a confirmed fact, okay? When most people hear that somebody received a life sentence, they imagine somebody completely mentally destroyed. I mean, at this point, you would think that he wouldn't even be able to think straight. Like reality has finally crushed him, just for a moment, until you realize that this is the reality you have to live for the rest of your life. And that's when I'm sure the adjustment starts. I don't know, I can't relate. Never been to prison, ain't trying to go, right? But listening to Sean speak, it almost sounds like his brain still hasn't fully processed what his future actually looks like now. And interestingly enough, the reason why they apparently created this GoFundMe page is because they're trying to raise money for an appeal. Shout out to Cuff Boys who screenshotted this. We gotta collab, my guy. Shout out to you, man. Somebody in the Instagram comments basically asked what the end goal of the fundraiser was. And according to the...
Bro, first of all, this is such a high profile case. Ain't no way they gonna give it to him. Like, this is starting to reach the level of Melly. Cause I swear, I don't know the case of Melly right now. I don't know where he's at, but I swear he's been fighting these two murders since 2019, and they still haven't come to a conclusion. Unless they did, and I'm just behind. But bro.
Response: the money is allegedly meant to help Sean appeal the case. Now, an appeal is basically when somebody asks a higher court to review parts of the trial to see if legal mistakes were made. So that would mean in his case, Sean's legal team would essentially be trying to challenge either parts of the conviction process or the sentencing itself. And here's what you need to know about that. Although the right to appeal exists, the reality is that winning a criminal appeal is very, very difficult. And as a matter of fact, the success rate on an appeal in criminal cases, at least in Florida, is typically less than 7%. and it's estimated that fewer than 1 appeal out of 10 ends up in favor of the appealing party. So basically, around 90% of criminal appeals are unsuccessful. Specifically for Sean, in the kind of situation that he's in, based on everything we know so far, this is not one of those cases where the evidence looked weak. So let's start with Sean taking a stand. Sean Gathright actually got on the witness stand himself and tried explaining his role in this entire case. Moments after jurors reportedly saw him crying in court, Sean took this.
I wonder where they get those clothes from. I mean, obviously they buy them, but like, cause he would be in a jumpsuit, but they let him put that shit on. They ain't gonna lie, that turtleneck here.
This entire case. Moments after jurors reportedly saw him crying in court, Sean took the stand and apologized for his role in the ambush of killing Julio Foolio. And then the prosecution immediately started pressing him hard on the details. And honestly, that boy absolutely got cooked on the stand. I ain't even gonna lie.
Were you remorseful as you were running back with that AR-15 in your hands?
Like I said, I try to remember nothing from that night.
He was basically one of the only people directly involved who actually took the stand during the trial. Now, there was also another woman connected to the case, Alicia Andrews, who took the stand a few months ago. I actually haven't spoken about her involvement in this case. Do you guys want me to make a video on that? Because she's interesting. There's some interesting things about her particular case. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys want that, okay? But Sean getting up there himself completely changed the energy in that courtroom, because once the prosecution started laying out the timeline and evidence piece by piece, his entire credibility started collapsing. And throughout a lot of the questioning, it didn't really feel like Sean fully confronted the gravity of what happened. But then again, according to prosecutors, this was never accidental. The intent from the very beginning was to kill Foolio, and they planned this very, very, very carefully. Now, the prosecution, they described this case as dripped with premeditation. And honestly, based on everything publicly shown during the trial, it's hard not to understand why they described it that way. These people literally traveled over 3 hours to another city, tracked Foolio's movements online.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, you might say like, oh, it was a mistake. But you made a lot of mistakes, bro. Because first of all, I don't even know if he's allowed to have a rifle. Well, he was 18 at the time, so maybe. But they keep changing laws or whatever. But you loaded the car, because it's a video of them loading the car with guns and ammo. You tracked his movement somehow. That's why, like, I don't understand how rappers and musicians, I know they're people too. I know they walk and eat and breathe just like us. But, like, how, like, people find them, like, easily. He found him. He drove all the way from Jacksonville, and I used to live in Jacksonville. So, he ain't fighting traffic for no reason, but he wanted to kill him, for real. But, like, you driving from Jacksonville all the way down to Tampa. That's like 3.5, 4 hours. And then you staying in a place to find him. It was just a lot of mistakes, bro. It was a lot of, you had a whole 3.5 hours to think about what you was about to do.
Searched for his location, located the Airbnb, waited for the opportunity, and then carried out an ambush killing. And afterward, investigators say they found evidence including ammunition, firearm parts, and bags allegedly connected to these suspects. The prosecutors also accused Sean of trying to wipe down his car afterward, and he was seen on this particular surveillance footage right here. And then also there's another part that I actually didn't even talk about in my last video. During the trial, prosecutors reportedly showed the jury a screen recording that Sean Gathright actually took from his own iPhone. Now the recording, I'll put it here to my right side right here. It showed Sean monitoring Foolio's movements throughout the city while repeatedly checking Airbnb listings, trying to figure out exactly where Foolio was staying that night. So basically, according to prosecutors, he was allegedly jumping back and forth between Foolio's Instagram stories and then going back to the Airbnb app on the Airbnb listings, trying to pinpoint exactly where Foolio was staying that night. Like, he was even going through the filters on Airbnb. You know how, like, when you're on Airbnb, you can kind of like go through these filters? So Sean was like trying to filter stuff. Like, he was really trying to find out where Foolio was staying. And that, of course, goes way beyond somebody making one emotional mistake in the heat of the moment. Just for all the people out there who are like defending him and saying that, oh, he's a kid, he made a mistake. No. He planned this. It was all planned. Multiple steps, multiple decisions, multiple opportunities to back out. If you don't know exactly what happened, check out my last video on this. Because at any point during the entire drive, at any point during all that preparation, He could have said, you know what, y'all a bunch of crash outs, man. I'm not doing this shit. And according to prosecutors, all of the evidence pointed toward the exact outcome the group intended from the very beginning. Sean was allegedly masked up. We seen him on that surveillance footage holding that AK, armed with this rifle, and prosecutors say he actively participated in shooting into that vehicle before Foolio was eventually killed. And what's even crazier is that Sean is honestly kind of lucky that the state didn't get what it originally wanted, because on Friday, a Tampa jury rejected the prosecution's request to recommend the death penalty for the 4 men involved. So the state really wanted these men executed, but in the end, the jury instead sentenced Isaiah Chance, Sean Gathright, Davion Murphy, and Rashad Murphy to life in prison. These were all the defendants. These are all their names, right? Without parole, after convicting them for the roles in this plot to ambush. And
he's like, Sean's the only one that's really fighting it for real. Like, I don't know, it's like everybody else accepted that they did it and they got caught. He's the only one that's like, maybe they all regret it, but he's the only one that's really, really trying to, I don't know how to explain it, but
kill Foolio. And honestly, it was really interesting watching prosecutors grill Sean the way they did, because throughout questioning, the prosecution kept pressing him on how he felt during different moments connected to the killing, like when he was doing it, like, how did you feel? But over and over again, Sean kept responding by saying he didn't remember. At one point, he reportedly told the courtroom, "I try to focus on today." And honestly, that statement says a lot, because what else can you really do at that point? You're cooked. And what makes the story even sadder is that, unlike his other co-defendants, Sean was reportedly never accused of being a gang member. And that in itself is sad, because it's like he threw away his life for nothing when he was not even involved in any of this shit. Instead, he talked about growing up privileged, traveling overseas, having opportunities. He described himself as gullible and impressionable, which he probably obviously did that just to try to see if the jury could feel sorry for him, which they didn't. And he even claimed he now wants to help younger people avoid getting pulled into street life. A little too late for that. And that's what makes this story just hit so much harder, because this young man literally had everything working for him. Was his life perfect? I mean, I don't know. Nobody's life is perfect. But from everything we've seen publicly so far, it's undeniable that Sean seemingly had opportunities a lot of people would dream of having. And what's crazy is that even at one point in his life, he was apparently a huge fan of FaZe Clan. I'm sure you guys know FaZe Clan. They're like these gamers, right? And there's a old photo of a young Sean meeting one of the members as a kid. I think it's Censor. I think that's his name, FaZe Censor. And somehow, despite all that, he still ended up throwing his entire life away for nothing, when he was just like a little kid playing video games and shit. Like, come on, bro. And I think that's the part of his story.
Yeah, he ran down with that AR like it was Call of Duty. Like it was Siege, boy. Ready or not.
That generally intrigues me the most, and so many other people, because this wasn't somebody who seemingly had zero safety nets around him. I mean, this guy had a lot of people who loved him, a family, a support system, opportunities, the ability to travel all around the world. He had all these things going for him, and yet here he is today, sentenced to spend the rest of his life behind bars before he's even really lived his life yet. And honestly, I'll be real with you, I honestly don't think this young man has fully processed what he actually did here. I think the desire to fit in, the desire to follow the wrong crowd, the desire to crash out and feel accepted was so strong that it led him down a path where he willingly participated in something deeply premeditated and irreversible. And that's what makes this situation so disturbing. Because again, this is not one bad decision made in 5 seconds. There were multiple stages to this entire situation. It was an unfolding situation. They were traveling, planning, tracking movements, waiting, preparing, and during all those moments, there were countless of opportunities to walk away. At any point, he could have just been like, nah, I'm not doing this, man. Y'all can do it on your own. I'm going home. And I think this whole story just brings up another conversation entirely, which is the reality that all mistakes are not equal, right? We all make mistakes in life. Every single person watching this video has probably done things they regret. I definitely have. I could think about some right now. But unfortunately, some decisions are permanent. And luckily, I haven't made one of those decisions. Hopefully, I don't. And here's the thing, right? Taking another person's life is one of those decisions.
He got a kid somewhere. That's what he's talking about.
Because once that line gets crossed, there's no rewind button anymore. And that's why stories like this are honestly terrifying to watch unfold in real time, but they are so important for the youth to see. Because there's so many young people now who are crashing out and doing all this crazy shit in the streets. We hear about them every single day on the news. I just don't think a lot of young people crashing out right now generally understand the finality of these situations until it's way too late. a lot of them are living in the moments. I live for today. We outside. We spinning. We active. But the issue is eventually today ends and then reality catches up. And now you're sitting inside a prison cell at 20 years old trying to mentally process the fact that the rest of your life is basically gone. And honestly, is that mindset coming from the music, the environment, the internet, the neighborhood? Like, I honestly could not tell you, right? It's this kind of case, you don't know where it comes from. It's hard to like say where it's coming from, but at the end of the day, I think it's coming from the person's spirit. There's people who grew up in the worst environments. A lot of those people are watching this video right now. A lot of y'all had nothing when you grew up. A lot of y'all probably grew up with parents who were like crackheads and shit. A lot of you guys might have slept on the floor. I slept on the floor when I was a kid. I didn't even have my own room, right? But a lot of you guys have really gone through hell and back. But you still made the right decisions in your life. At the very least, if you made any wrong decisions, they were probably decisions that only hurt you and not other people. What I can say is this, right? We're seeing so many young people now who are just willing to throw away their entire futures for temporary validation, temporary approval, temporary emotions, and temporary people who often won't even be there once everything falls apart. And as a matter of fact, we've seen it proven time and time again that the same people you're willing to crash out with, the same people you're willing to risk your freedom for, will often be the exact same people who eventually will turn on you when the feds come knocking.
Yeah, he's talking about, it was some queso from Young Ace, and apparently his dad told on him. Imagine you doing something with your dad and he end up snitching on you. That's what we're doing these days.
Once the police gets involved, once life sentences get mentioned, once people realize they may never have their freedom again, everything changes. And for Sean Gathright, that reality is now permanent. Because regardless of how hopeful he may sound, regardless of appeals, Instagram pages, support systems, or people saying they still believe that he can get out of prison and live a life outside, the reality is that this 20-year-old young man is now expected to spend the rest of his life behind bars. And that's honestly just tragic no matter which way you look at it, because it was not supposed to happen. But then again, he's in that situation because of his decisions. Now, a lot of people are also bringing up the fact that Julio himself wasn't a saint. And yes, at some point, maybe there's a broader conversation to be had about the things Julio was allegedly involved in throughout his life and career. But make no mistake, when it comes to this specific situation, Sean Gathright and the others involved carried out a premeditated ambush and killed this man. And at the end of the day, that decision not only changed multiple lives forever, but they did not have to do what they did, and they were wrong for what they did. At a certain point, you just got to look at the things that keep getting presented in front of you. This young man, Sean Gathright, just had no real identity of his own. The devotion to looking street, being accepted by people in the streets, wanting to appear tough, wanting to fit into that image, is what led him down this path. It was a series of decisions, a series of choices. He could have separated.
I bet you I got a picture with him too. I bet you I got a picture with Sean somewhere.
That they're willing to destroy their own future just to maintain an image. And hey, if he wants to be hopeful and all that, that's completely fine. But brother, you were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And in Florida, that basically means you're never coming home. That's what it means. You're going to grow old behind those bars, and unless something drastic somehow changes legally, you're going to die behind those prison walls until the last drop of sweat equity.
Based on Mr.Gathright's age, physical abilities, things like that, do you think that the prison would benefit from him in a work capacity if he were sentenced to life without parole?
I say yes. With my experience, not only just in classification, but as former warden and even as a jail administrator, he's someone that's young, he's healthy. In reality, we need that labor, we need that sweat equity, and we will put him out there to work because we do have an aging prison population, jail administration. We have that. So we put these young individuals to work and get some sweat equity out of them since they are young and actually can do the work.
And that's what makes this situation feel so dark, because this wasn't somebody with no opportunities. This wasn't somebody who seemingly had nobody around him, who actually cared about him. And yet, despite all that, he still threw away his entire life for nothing. I think so many things can be said about this particular case, but the biggest thing is probably how terrifying it is to watch somebody throw away a life full of opportunity, all because they were chasing an identity that never theirs to begin with. If you made it this far, drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new here. My name is BlackySpeakz. Nice to meet you. It still doesn't seem like Sean has fully processed the reality that the life he once knew is effectively over. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna be honest. It's really sad to see he was playing basketball, hanging out with us. We were on this trip, and we were just on the bus listening to music and stuff, taking pictures, exploring, and he never, like, literally never did any. It was some other kids that acted like that, but we were like 13, bro. Ain't no like 13, 14-year-olds really doing that. So yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate, but he did it. He did what he did, and at the end of the day, you cannot escape the police. You cannot escape the police. You got police stations at every single town, every city, every county. They will get you, bro. They will. We got FBI, worldwide investigators. You will not get away with nothing these days. Like, they got him on his phone, going back and forth on his phone. Like, bro, technology will not get away with anything. You won't get away with stealing a pencil. You're not getting away with it no more. But I want to say I appreciate all y'all watching the video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Shout out to BlackySpeakz. Thank you for the video. It was wonderful. Make sure y'all go check out the original. I'm gonna post his link in the description out of respect. But yeah, I will be uploading for the rest of this week different reactions. Y'all make sure y'all catch the streams. Peace out.